Welcome to this section's video class. And in this section, we are talking about models, creating our models. With me here, I have a Django project, a newly created Django project, and also a Django application I created along with it. So before we do any model creation, we need to add our application to our settings.py file in the installed apps array. So come here and include the name of our application. So the name of our application is our app. Now this is needed for our project to register our applications model. Without this, we wouldn't be able to save or actually create perform operations on our Django model. So we create a Django model with the class keyword. So I'm just going to assume we all understand how to create classes, how to create objects, and how to instantiate classes too. You can see that the model is being imported from the Django.db class. This is Python's library. This library actually contains so many classes, and the model class is one of them. We are going to create a class that inherits from this Django model. So we'll call this school. Oh, sorry, school models top model. Now with this, we've created our school model, and let's also create a student model. So we'll be working with the student model and the school model for this video class. Now, when we create our model, it is expected for us to make migrations. Now, as explained in the course, migrations are a way of adding the changes we've made to our models reflect on our database. So we need to create. Okay, so um, yesterday's office are for most of the people that were not around, we talked about a virtual environment, a different kind of virtual environment called pipenv. So for the people that were not around, this session will just show you an overview of how to use pipenv. So to install pipenv, you just use the pip install pipenv command. But I have pipenv installed already, so it's not going to install. But yeah, just going to tell me requirement already satisfied. Now, to activate your virtual environment, your pipenv virtual environment, you just need to use the command pipenv shell. So what the command does is, if the virtual environment is created already in your project, it doesn't create it, it just activates the environment. But if it is not created, as it's showing now, it just creates a new virtual environment for you. So you do not have to stress yourself with having to write complex commands in order to create your virtual environment. So this command helps create our virtual environment. So we're just going to wait for it to load. So while we are at that, we should just keep on creating. Okay, so I should probably just zoom in so you'll be able to see my screen better. Okay, so now let's create our field or our class attributes. So let's call this name. Every school must have a name, obviously. A name is a character field. So models dot a field max length. Now, this max length is just specifying how long you want the character field to be. We want it to be not more than 400 characters. So uh, let's also use the address models dot max length equals 400, then postal code integer field. Now each class variable here corresponds to a field in our database. Now, a model corresponds to a data table. So this school model here creates a school table in our database. The name represents a column in our database name. The address represents the column address, and the postal code represents the column postal code. So this is just what it's known as schema, database schema. We are defining the structure of our database. So yeah, our virtual environment is activated already, as you can see. Yeah. So here we run this command e install. So we will have to reinstall Django because Django is not in this environment. Okay, so before I do, let me just show you something. Quick freeze. Now, when you run the pip freeze command, because I have Django installed already on the, I think I installed it in a virtual environment earlier on yesterday. Yeah, I did yesterday. So, and it's the same, the name of the project, our new project. So it installs it for me. But if you are creating your own virtual environment, if you are creating your own virtual environment using pip, and you would need to install Django again because it will not be installed for you. But because I did the office hours session yesterday where I specified the pipm virtual environment using this new project name, it just collects it using this file, pip file. Yeah. So that's where our dependencies are being stored. So for now, we've been able to set up our virtual environment. So let's just start our application. Okay. Okay. So now, like I said yesterday, I wasn't going to talk much on the migrations because we were going to treat it in this week's session. Okay, so I think okay. Um, Migrations are a way to apply the changes we've made. The migrate command rather is a way to apply the changes we've made, the migrations we've made in our database. It is a way to apply those migrations. That is why it is telling you to run the Python manage.py migrate. So when you do, the changes will reflect in your database. So let's just quit the server and run Python manage.py migrate. Good. So now this is already stored in our database. It's already being reflected in our database. I will show you a visual representation of this later on. But for now, just know it is being reflected in our database. Now, I was about talking about the the make migration command. Now, for the make migrations command help create our migrations. Now, for the model we created here, we haven't, it does not reflect in our database because we did not save those changes. We haven't saved those changes yet. So to save those changes, we run the python manage.py make migrations. But before I run this command, I want to point out something. Now, let's say you have multiple applications in your project. Let's say you have multiple, at least 2 to 3 applications in your project. How would you specify that your project should only save the migrations in one application? Now, a way to do that is by specifying the name of the application. So the name of our application is our app. So I'm just going to specify that. Yeah. So as you can see, it has already saved changes, the migrations, it has already saved it in the migrations file. Yeah. So school and students. Then Python manage.py migrate. So this will apply the migrations. Yeah, great. Perfect, perfect. So now this is already reflected in our database. Okay, so the next step is for us to talk about the relationships we have between uh, models in our database. So we have in Django, we have 3 relationships. We have 3 basic relationships. Have the many-to-one relationship, or in some materials, one-to-many relationship. We have the one-to-one relationship, and we have the many-to-many relationship. For the many-to-one relationship, we specify that using foreign key, the foreign key attribute. Yes. So it is a type of relationship where one model is being used by many other models. So one model to many other models. Now, for a one-to-one relationship, each model is being used by just another model. I don't know if you understand, but I'm just going to write it out for you to see. Okay, so a student belongs to one school, and one school has many or have many students. Now, that is an example of many to one relationship. Oh, and I think it is worthy of note to mention that for this tutorial, we'll just be covering the many to one relationship. For the one-to-one relationship and the many-to-many relationship, if you have questions regarding it, you can just reach out to any of the mentors, either I, Femi, or Lana, and we'll put you through. Okay, so school equals models, the foreign key. Then we specify the model we are actually linking to this model. So this is cool. And then there's a parameter here on delete is equal to models.cascade. Now, what what this parameter does is, now let's say we want to, because our students model is being dependent on this school model here. Now let's say we want to delete a school model from our database. Let's say we want to delete just the school model from our database. Does the student's model that is being linked to this school model, does it get deleted also? Now this is what this on delete is specifying. Now we have 2 types. We have to, instead of cascade, we can use what is called protect or protected. Models.protect. Now this models.protect is saying when we delete the school model here, we should preserve the student model that is being attached to that school model. But the cascade is saying when we delete the the school model, we should also delete the student model associated with the school model. So I hope you understand that. Now let's specify our student model. So first name equal models dot field max length. Okay, so I failed to mention earlier that we have so many methods in our model class. In our model class, important here, we have so many methods. One of those methods is the char field method. So it specifies that our field attributes in our database should be a character field. We have integer field, we have character field, we have the boolean field, we have the date time field. We have so many fields. Now each field corresponds to a web input. So you can just read up on that web inputs and field associated with them. So that's just max length should be 40. Then last name equal to models dot field max length. Oh, let's just keep it 40. Okay. So what else? Age equal models dot integer field. Okay, so for this we'll just leave this blank. Though we'll come back to it because we'll get an error that will prompt us to come back to this. So what else? First name, last name, age. What else does a student have? Okay, let's say date of resumption. Let's just say date. Some models. And the dates field. So for this date field, we are just going to import the date class from date time, import date time. So this will just be default date time dot today. So with this, we've specified our school model and our student model. So let's save the changes. Let's save the changes. So if you remember the command, we save our changes with the Python manage.py migrate. I'm sorry, make migrations rather. Okay, so it's saying you are trying to add a non-nullable field code students without a default. We can't do that. The database needs something to populate existing rows. Fine. So for this, we just says provide a one of default. So let's just provide a default. Let's just give it one, but it doesn't really matter. Says you are trying to add a non-nullable field age. Okay, so great. Now this is, like I said, we are going to come back to it. This. So for now, let's just give this one. For this, so let's just do the same thing. So our fields have been added to sorry, it has been, these changes have been saved already. So for now, let's just apply those migrations. So Python manage.py migrate. So we have some warnings there. It says auto created primary key used when not defining a primary key by default. Configure the default. So for now, just ignore this. Just ignore this. You can ignore it. I doubt you will have this error. I think this error is just specific to me. But in case you do, just ignore it. Okay, so we've been able to. Okay, let's see. Okay, okay. So In this section, we've been able to create our models. We'll be able to specify fields in our model. In the next section, we will talk about adding our models to our admin. Now, when you add your models to your admin, you should be able to see a visual representation of your database, how it actually looks like, how it is being structured. So please, let's go over to the second.